Owl, a land of bright colors and old ways, but a dark cloud hung over it. The government was bad, the people hurt. Groups of people didn't get along, and it was getting worse. The Fulani herdsmen with their cows walked onto the farms of the Yoruba villagers. This started fights, a scary back and forth of anger and revenge. Owl was like a match, ready to catch fire. Bobby was a smart, happy boy. He had a bright smile that could light up any room, and his laughter was infectious. Everyone in the village adored him for his kind heart and curious mind. He was always eager to learn new things and share his knowledge with others. He lived with his parents in a small village in the hills. The village was picturesque, with rolling green hills and clear blue skies. The air was always fresh, and the sounds of nature were a constant symphony. Bobby's parents were hardworking and loving, always ensuring that he had everything he needed. Life was easy, filled with the love of family and friends. Bobby loved to learn. He spent hours reading books, exploring the world through the pages. His friends often joined him, and they would have lively discussions about the stories they read. The village was a close-knit community, and everyone looked out for each other. He dreamt of being a teacher, of sharing his love of learning. Bobby often imagined himself standing in front of a classroom, inspiring young minds just as his teachers had inspired him. He believed that education was the key to a better future, not just for himself, but for his entire village. One day, something terrible happened. Dark clouds gathered over the village, and an ominous feeling filled the air. The villagers sensed that something was wrong, but they couldn't have imagined the horror that was about to unfold. Fulani herdsmen attacked Bobby's village. They came without warning, bringing chaos and destruction. The peaceful village was turned into a battlefield, with screams and cries echoing through the hills. The herdsmen showed no mercy, and the villagers were caught completely off guard. Houses burned, people died, Bobby's parents were killed. The once vibrant village was now a scene of devastation. Bobby watched in horror as everything he loved was destroyed. The flames consumed not just the houses but the dreams and hopes of the villagers. The happy times in Bobby's life were gone. The village that was once filled with laughter and joy was now silent and somber. The rain began to fall, as if the heavens themselves were mourning the loss. Bobby stood in the ruins of his home feeling a deep sense of loss and despair. He was alone, filled with sadness and anger. The weight of the tragedy bore down on him, and he struggled to find a reason to go on. But deep inside, a small spark of hope remained. Bobby knew that he had to survive, not just for himself, but to honor the memory of his parents and the dreams they had for him. Sadness can make you weak, or it can make you strong. For Bobby, it made him strong. The pain of losing his parents was very bad, but it also made him see things differently. He saw the unfairness in all, the bad government, the hate between groups, the fighting for no reason. He couldn't stay quiet anymore. He had to do something. He had to fight for his parents, for his people, for Owl. Bobby started talking. At first, it was just in his village. He talked about working together and understanding each other. He talked about the bad things that killed his parents. He talked about needing fairness and everyone being equal. The people in his village listened. They had also suffered. They also wanted things to change. Bobby's voice, though young, showed everyone's pain and hope. Bobby's message went beyond his village. He went to other towns, talking at markets and meetings. He wrote powerful stories saying the government was bad and asking for peace and unity. "We are all children of Owl," he wrote. "Being different shouldn't make us fight. We must work together against the real enemy, unfairness." His words made people think. People started listening. They started believing. Love during hard times. On his travels, Bobby met Amina, a young woman from a nearby village. Amina also lost her family in the fighting. She liked Bobby's passion and his message of hope. They helped each other feel better, and their shared sadness turned into love. Amina became Bobby's best friend, someone he could trust. She helped him, told him to keep going, and stayed with him as things got more dangerous. A big change begins. In the quiet town of Owl, the first rays of sunlight brought more than just a new day. They heralded the dawn of a new era, an era of transformation and hope. The town, once known for its serene landscapes and simple life, was about to become the epicenter of a movement that would echo far and wide. Bobby's message spread all over Owl. It started with a few whispers, a few flyers pinned to notice boards, and soon it was on everyone's lips. The message was clear and powerful, resonating with the hearts of the townsfolk. It spoke of justice, equality, and the need for a collective voice. The people of Owl, who had long felt unheard and overlooked, found a beacon of hope in Bobby's words. All kinds of people, farmers, teachers, students, and shopkeepers began to gather. They came from different walks of life, each with their own stories of struggle and dreams of a better future. The movement was not just about one man's vision, it was about the collective aspirations of an entire community. The town square, once a place of mundane daily activities, transformed into a hub of discussions, debates, and planning. Even some people in the government joined him. A movement started, a movement for change, a movement for fairness, a movement for Owl. The streets of Owl, usually quiet and empty, were now filled with the sounds of marching feet and chanting voices. Banners waved high, proclaiming messages of unity and justice. The movement was growing, and with it, the hope for a brighter future. The government, scared of Bobby's power, tried to stop him. They bothered him, scared him, and even tried to discredit him. In their offices, behind closed doors, they schemed and plotted, trying to find ways to quell the rising tide of dissent. They knew that Bobby's influence was growing, and with it, the possibility of real change. They even tried to pay him off. They thought that money could buy his silence, that a briefcase full of cash could make him abandon his cause. But Bobby was not a man who could be bought. His resolve was unshakable, his commitment to the people of Owl unwavering. He knew that the fight for justice was worth more than any amount of money, but Bobby wouldn't be quiet. He stood before the crowd, his voice strong and clear, his words filled with passion and conviction. He spoke of their shared dreams, their collective struggles, and the power of unity. The people listened, their spirits lifted, their determination renewed. Bobby's voice became the voice of the movement, a rallying cry for all who sought change. He knew he was doing the right thing. Every step he took, every word he spoke was guided by a deep sense of purpose. He was not just fighting for himself, but for every person in Owl who had ever felt marginalized or oppressed. The support of the people gave him strength. Their belief in the cause fueled his determination. He had to keep fighting. The road ahead was long and fraught with challenges, but Bobby knew that giving up was not an option. The movement had gained momentum, and there was no turning back. With the people of Owl by his side, he marched forward, ready to face whatever obstacles lay ahead. The fight for justice, for fairness, for Owl had only just begun. The Cost of Hope. It's a story of courage, resilience, and the unyielding spirit of one individual who dared to dream of a better world. Bobby's fight for change had a price. He was a young man with a vision that many thought was impossible. But Bobby believed in the power of the people, in the strength of unity, and in the possibility of change. He knew that the road ahead would be tough, filled with obstacles and challenges, but he was ready to face them head-on. He was arrested and put in jail, accused of causing trouble. The authorities saw him as a threat, someone who could disrupt the status quo. They hoped that by locking him up, they could silence his voice and stop the movement he had started. But they underestimated Bobby's resolve and the impact he had already made. But even in jail, he wasn't afraid. The cold, dark cell could not dampen his spirit. He stood strong, his eyes filled with determination. He knew that his imprisonment was just another chapter in his journey, a test of his will and his commitment to the cause, and he was ready to pass that test. He continued to inspire the other prisoners, sharing his message of hope and strength. He spoke of a future where everyone could live in peace and harmony, where justice and equality were not just dreams but realities. His words resonated with the prisoners, giving them a sense of purpose and a glimmer of hope in their otherwise bleak existence. Outside, the movement he started kept growing. People from all walks of life came together, united by a common goal. They marched in the streets, holding signs and chanting slogans, their voices echoing through the city. The movement was no longer just about Bobby. It had become a symbol of resistance, a beacon of hope for all those who yearned for change. People protested, asking for him to be free and for the government to stop being bad. They demanded justice, not just for Bobby, but for everyone who had been wronged by the system. Their cries for freedom and equality grew louder with each passing day, putting pressure on the authorities to listen and act. Amina, even though it was dangerous, became the leader of the movement, sharing Bobby's message across the country. She was a fierce and passionate advocate, unafraid to speak out against injustice. Her courage inspired many, and under her leadership, the movement gained even more momentum. Together, they continued to fight for a better future, driven by the hope that one day, their dreams would become a reality. A brighter future. Bobby's struggle, his strong belief in a better future for all, gave people hope. His story, a story of how powerful one voice can be, traveled far and wide. It reminded everyone that even in very bad times, even when things seem impossible, hope can grow. The fight for all wasn't over, but Bobby's journey, his strong spirit, showed everyone the way to a brighter future, a future of unity, fairness, and peace.